you passionately believe in and support the First Amendment. There are certain things you cannot do. You cannot cry fire or scream fire in a crowded theater. You cannot make terroristic threats against individuals. But you also are watching and reading and hearing, this never-ending, celebration of the left. We saw it with the United Healthcare CEO and the praise of Luigi Mangione. And you're seeing it in this case. It is evil. It is dark. It is sick. It is incomprehensible. Are there any? Where does it become a legal issue from your vantage point as Attorney General?
Well, sure, we all believe in the First Amendment, and these people speak horrible things. I think yesterday or today, Sean, a school board member right here in Virginia had to resign because she said horrible things about Charlie Kirk and that he deserved to die. That's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that.
Couple things there. Sean Hannity, first off, gave an example of Luigi Mangione, who we talked about earlier, and all those leftists that celebrated after that United Healthcare CEO was murdered. I feel like he's purposely leaving out the fact that leftists, center folks, the righties, they all celebrated when that happened. Let's not try to rewrite history. That was not some leftist group of people that were saying, yo, maybe we should rethink the way that this guy and his policies have killed so many Americans. That was people all over the place. That was one of those instances where people who want to both sides everything and say, hey, kumbaya, we're all getting along, said, look, conservatives were celebrating that, independents were celebrating that, and liberals were celebrating that because that was the reality. Sean Hannity's trying to recreate and rewrite history to make it seem like the lie that they keep telling has any kind of basis. But I want to focus now on Pam Bondi, the back end of that answer. Some school board member threatened Charlie Kirk, and we can't allow that to happen. They shouldn't have a job. They shouldn't exist in our society. As a matter of fact, they should be sent off to some cave somewhere. Jason Selvig of The Good Liars is a smart and funny guy. And, the hypocrisy is everywhere.
I'm really a fan of all the work that you've done.
Oh, thank you.
I was wondering if I could grab your autograph.
Oh, you're so kind. Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you mind signing this?
No,
this is one of your tweets. It said, Obama did it, Hillary did it, Schiff did it, Comey did it, Holder did it. And then it says death to traitors on there. And I thought that was a great tweet. Do you mind signing it for me?
Sorry, yeah, I do mind signing it for you.
Would you mind
but
just...
Nice to meet you.
Well, why won't you sign it? This is your tweet, right? Will you sign this other one where you said...
Exactly.
Will you sign this other one about killing Obama on pay-per-view?
The event's over.
Event's over here. Will you sign the tweet where you said a firing squad for Obama, a pay-per-view death? Michelle, will you sign it? All right, well, she tweeted it, that she wanted Obama to be killed by a firing squad on pay-per-view, but she wouldn't sign the tweet, so.
Isn't it weird how hypocrisy works? Michelle Morrow, candidate for North Carolina Superintendent of Public Instruction, politician. When asked to sign her tweet, she was very happy to until she saw her damn tweets. I just heard Pam Bondi say that if you want to threaten people's lives and do it so publicly, you shouldn't deserve to have a job. You should be barren from our society. You should be tossed off to some foreign island somewhere. But for some reason, we keep seeing these examples of Republicans that have done just that. A public pay-per-view firing squad to kill President Obama. I'm waiting for the Department of Justice to go after Michelle Morrow for her disgusting words. This is what happens when conservatives are confronted with with their hypocrisy. And I want to play this just to make sure you guys know this. Because my overarching conclusion on all this always has been, stop arguing with them. Because when you argue with them, you're going to win the argument if you have all the facts in front of you as they just, spout off random shit. And then when you win that argument, they start pulling their hair, they start screaming, tears start flying, and they get offended, just like Kash Patel did when he got cornered. Watch Greg Gutfeld cry.
We don't need more information.
Really?
Yes, we don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need
Yes,
to know.
what about Van
There's
Stoker?
absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa
no,
Hortman that we just
okay, you want to talk
talked
about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
She doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your. What about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead.
The truth eventually comes out. We don't care. Because, see, again, someone who says that they just don't care about the reality of the discussion and the debate that they love having is someone who thinks they have some kind of authority over our reality. So when you give them the real reality, he starts screaming and crying, starts calling your argument bullshit. When your argument, all it did was show that some reason he thinks Melissa Hortman, the Democrat that was murdered along with her husband and dog in Minnesota, they don't matter because he never heard of her before that. There's plenty of people that never heard of Charlie Kirk. Does that mean that it doesn't matter? I mean, how about these stupid, ridiculous things? Again, like I said, you're not going to convince anyone when you give them reality. You're not going to convince them. All you're going to do is get them to then expose themselves like Greg Gutfeld did and go, we don't care. We don't care. What we want is bias in our favor, and Donald Trump is giving us that. What we want is violence in our favor, and Donald Trump is giving us that. What we want is to limit your free speech and your First Amendment rights, and Donald Trump and Pam Bondi right now are giving us that. We don't care. Don't have arguments with people that just don't care. I have a couple more instances that show how hypocritical this entire movement is. Even people like Rand Paul. Sometimes people cite Rand Paul and say, you know what? Rand Paul knows what he's talking about. Rand Paul likes to push back against the president every once in a while. Do you think Rand Paul is going to push back against the president when it comes to the First Amendment rights of people that, he doesn't like?
I was assaulted 6-7 years ago, attacked from behind, had 6 ribs broken and part of my lung removed, and still online on a daily basis, people say they wish that it would happen to me all over again. And by sort of making light of what I suffered, they are encouraging other people to do it. And really, that ought to be taken down, and social media ought to be able to take that down. If people are saying this in their workplace, people say, oh, people have a right to say things. Well, actually, they don't necessarily have a right to say things. Many people have in their contract what we call a moral clause to their contract, or a conduct clause. My guess is you have something in your contract that says you have to behave in a certain way in public. Most people do. If you're in the military, you have a conduct code that you have to adhere to in your speech and the way you present yourself to the public. So I think it is time for this to be a crackdown on people. And like I say, it's perfectly legal and legitimate, particularly if it's part of the contract process.
That's right. And it's unbelievable that it seems that it's always conservatives that are being targeted.
The same thing over and over again. It seems to be conservatives that are targeted because Rand Paul he crossed over the middle of the field and tried to catch a slant pattern, and he got run through by his neighbor. Because Rand Paul had an issue with his neighbor, which countless Americans have issues with their neighbor, and sometimes domestic disputes break out. But because Rand Paul got hit in the gut, because that is the reasons why people, as he somehow relates it to media personalities and military codes of conduct, we're talking about people online that are writing whatever they want. We have people online that are talking about what is it they want. People in the streets who get to play and talk about whatever it is they want, just like people out in the streets get to have memorials and put things up and have vigils, all that stuff. But for some reason, now Rand Paul is against you having your rights to say and do what you want because he got hit in the stomach. I don't think it gets any clearer that they literally think they're the only ones who matter. There's a reasons why when the Black Lives Matter protests happened and that slogan became, more mainstreamed. when that happened, they got pissed because they said, how dare you say anyone else matters except for me? I matter. I'm white. I'm the one that's in power. I'm traditionally the ones that have suppressed other people's rights. Me, I've got that. You don't get any rights. I want you to imagine how soon they might be coming for, that next amendment that they always wanted to protect people to continue to have. They're coming for only certain people when it comes to that.